Laura Kelly, and welcome to POCACapeCod.org. That stands for Protect Our Cape Cod Aquifer. It's up to all of us to do just that. I believe that we have a greater responsibility above where we get our greatest natural resource, our drinking water. Today, we're doing a little episode about land care, what you can do to lessen your impact above our drinking water. I have a few guests here from Chatham up to share their skills and techniques on, really taking away the use of man-made synthetic toxic chemicals on our land. And again, this is all about saving and preserving our drinking water longer, because we can have lawns without chemicals, right?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. So that's what we're all about.
Thanks for having us today.
Yeah, well, welcome. Please introduce yourselves.
My name's Roy Nickerson, born and raised in Chatham. Spent some time away from the Cape, came back probably about 15 years ago, bought a home here, and trying to help out as much as I can along the way.
Good. Well, I'm really glad that you've decided to reroute back here on the Cape, benefiting our natural resources here.
Hi, yes, my name is Sean Spear. I am born and raised in Vermont. I went to school at UMass Amherst for plant soil science. I've stayed in Mass since. Actually, I live in Chelmsford, Massachusetts, and I work up in that area, and I commute down and help out in Chatham weekly. So,
do you guys have different divisions?
We do. So there's a Chatham division, and there's a division. The main division is up in Weston, Mass.
And so you focus mostly on land care. Do you feed soil?
We do both. So we are a organic turf care company and tick and mosquito company. So we're focusing.
Slow down. What was that?
Tick and mosquito company.
So pest.
Pest, correct.
Oh, all right. So you guys have the ability to feed land and deter pests without toxins.
Correct.
Oh, excellent. Good. And this is out of Chatham for Cape Cod.
Yes,
correct.
Yeah, that's kind of the hub of the location. So
good.
Chatham's a pretty good jump-off point for most places on Cape.
What do you use to feed land?
So we have a completely organic fertilization program that we do as far as feeding the land. Pretty simply.
So we're here to educate. We're not here to promote.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about feeding our land, but not what we do to feed it. How's that sound? So can I ask, if you had property, how would you deter pests?
So how I would deter pests, if we're talking about feeding the land and not the pest portion of it, is with plant-based fertilizers that we currently are using on Cape, and to try to lessen the synthetic chemicals that are being put down to help our properties and to help the community grow.
So you have a pest part of, so how do you deter pests?
Well, first you got to determine what the problem is. So if you're living around, wetlands or marshes, or if you have a heavy tick or mosquito problem, you have to first determine where it's coming from, and then go from there.
And the ingredient is?
We use a completely organic essential oil blend, called Progea, that we use yard sprays in 21-day cycles.
Yep.
So it is possible to deter pests like mosquitoes and ticks with essential oils. And, if you're having a gathering or something like that, there are companies locally here that will help you be able to be comfortable on your own, yardscape, having a picnic or gathering, a wedding, with essential oils like peppermint naturally deters mosquitoes.
Correct.
Right?
Correct, it does.
And
Geranium.
mice.
Yep. Geranium oil.
Geranium oil.
Thyme oil in there.
Thyme oil.
Thyme, yes.
Wintergreen. So it's all the essential oils out there that can naturally help.
Yeah, it's like an ingredient.
Rid the nuisance insects and ticks. So there's natural ways to do these things. And
Deer, ticks, and mosquitoes.
correct.
Correct.
Ticks is a big one
Yep.
Yeah.
for
Especially down-
pets, right?
Yep, exactly.
Getting around the area around your house and things like that.
Right.
So know that there's that out there and available, right?
Exactly.
Who knew? At a larger scale than just getting a flea collar for your dog.
Exactly.
Correct.
Yeah, well, the
Right?
Cape has one of the biggest white deer populations in the country. So with that comes a heavy tick problem. So that is kind of where we step in and try to prevent everything from coming onto your yard so you can enjoy your property.
Correct.
And this doesn't hinder beneficial insects?
It does not at all.
Does not affect
How and
pollinators.
why? How? Because?
Charlie probably will speak a little bit more knowledgeably
So
about
essential oils don't have, obviously because they're naturally made, so the beneficials are actually used to these smells and the
Right.
toxic levels of these, which could be toxic to some, like ticks and mosquitoes. The beneficials of the world are used to this and used to the smells, so it doesn't deter them from your properties, obviously including
How
these.
fascinating is that, huh?
Who knew?
They're used to it.
Yep. So
That's
they're
a
used
great
to it.
answer.
So
Can I see if you guys will share some tips about lawn care real quick?
yeah, absolutely. Big thing down here on the Cape. We're obviously looking to protect our natural resources, water source. Our big thing that that needs to be done is you need to test your soil. You need to see what actually your soil needs. And the first big step as a homeowner is, okay, let's take a soil test. Let's send it out to your local university, UMass Amherst, to say that. Obviously, I'm an alumni, so I want to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Or Barnstable County
or
Extension.
Barnstable County, yep.
Yep.
And they'll do these for a very small fee. And then once you have that knowledge, it's all about knowledge when it comes to organically taking care of your property, to know if you have a pH issue or what type of soil you have. On Cape, it's very sandy, so your perk-rate is going to go through quick, so you want to make sure you're putting down products that aren't going to leach into the water, aquifers, especially down here. And with organic fertilizers, the only way for an organic fertilizer to be taken up by a plant is for it to be broken down by soil microbiology. So
Which is really interesting.
synthetic fertilizers don't need that step. So if they're not used and you got a heavy rainfall, they can push through and they can get down into your aquifers. So that's the one big step for using organics, is what you put down is only going to get used if the soil breaks it down.
Right.
So it gives the soil a chance to revive itself and come back to life. And that's the vision that we stand by, and we'll answer any questions to move forward on that.
And there's a couple other rules of thumb that we live by. I, of course, have been a landscape architect, for those that know me, for the last 26 years, here locally in town, Littlefield Landscapes. And so I feed soil, not plants.
Correct.
So it's a little bit of a different view of things. So I don't add nitrogen or phosphorus or potassium into anything, whether you're a lawn or a garden or an edible garden, a perennial garden, doesn't matter. I use leaf compost. And there's different forms. You can actually get the compost itself. Again, you want a pH level test all your piles. If you're going to go get it from the local transfer station, that's not as a sure thing as another pile.
And they test it too. So, and if you buy it, it's always a testable. It's already always a test that'll show what the pH of the compost is as well. So make sure you get that tested.
If you get that at a local garden center by bulk,
Correct.
they have their piles tested. So you can ask them for that ingredients list and level for sure. Another rule of thumb is never feeding any poop. So again, that's adding nitrogen back into our water source that's unnecessary, because the trickle downstream theory goes on. You don't need, I think it's really fascinating when people come up with things like lobster. We want to reuse. I got it. You
Yep.
know, we're on this cycle on this planet where we need to reuse, not just recycle. Recycle is the last thing to do, but reuse along the way is the best thing to do. So let's reuse lobster and put on lawns. Well, lawns never really met that before in nature, right?
Exactly.
So far be it for us to say what land needs. You know, these man-made synthetics that are all natural programs.
Got to watch out for that word.
Yeah.
We really need to be aware of what we're doing, right?
Exactly.
Correct.
And we need to be able to ask the companies that we choose to work with, you know, what they're doing on your property. The consumer has the control, and we need to be careful above our aquifer with every single decision and choice that we make every single day with every product we choose.
Yep.
From shampoo that just goes down our drains into the leaching field to our land care. Can you give us a couple more tips on how, let's just do lawns. How would you maintain a lawn?
So for what we try to tell our homeowners is after the soil test is done, everything will come back. And that's when you analyze what's going on. See if there's a deficiency in any of the, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. See if the pH issues, if we need to correct it. Is it too low? Is it too high? And then look at those. Those are like the first steps. And then that's when we first start saying, okay, what are we going to add to the soil? What does the soil need? It's not what does the plant need, it's what does the soil need to make the plant healthy again. So that's when we'll come out and we'll look at our products and say, all right, what do we need? And obviously we go towards the first round is bringing the soil back to health. So to increase our microbial action, we'll send out a spray to go out and do that. Or
what are you feeding?
What are we feeding? It's beneficial microbes that we'll use. That we have a product that we use that we can kind of
organic?
discuss. It's everything that we use is organic, OMRI certified, WSDA, California cert. So we don't use
liquid form?
Liquid and granular. We do both.
So release.
Yep, everything's slow release.
Formula. Okay.
And everything's labeled correctly. So
how
as a
often?
homeowner, 3 to 5 years a year, 3 to 5 times a year.
Yep. If you're a property owner and you make suggestions on how to maintain their land, how high up should they mow?
3 inches.
So you mow
minimum
at 3 inches. Say that again.
Mow at 3 inches.
So this is big. This is big. Well, and then how often?
Only when the grass needs it.
Once every 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
On Cape Cod, on most Cape Cod lawns. And why is that?
You got to allow the grass to get the roots, the stronger root path, and
exactly.
Essentially defend itself against everything that's coming at it, whether it be a high sun or a drought, less water.
Yep.
So what we're trying to do is do less on our lands, right? Less is more.
Exactly.
So we water less, like once an inch a week?
You want to water about once a week. You want to water to field capacity, as we like to call it. And, we technically tend to say that to our customers. Once a week is good. You want to know the depth of your root zone, and you want to make sure that it's full to field capacity once a week, and then let it slowly go down. And if you have a natural rain event in between that weekly watering, please turn your water off. It does not need it. Grass is very smart. So if a grass does go dormant in the summertime, if there is a water ban, please abide by the water ban because you're doing it for a reason. And the grass might go off color, might go brown, but it's going to come back. So let the grass do its natural thing and let Mother Nature take care of it if you can. But if you do have an irrigation system, use it efficiently. No more than once a week watering.
You hear that? How amazing is that? Okay, so if we can water less, we mow less, we mow high, allowing photosynthesis process to happen, right? And the roots grow longer. I call it stressing, but it isn't. You're not stressing it hard. You're just stressing it so it can actually grow.
Yeah, it's
so
natural.
if you feed less, everything is less. Your cost is less.
Yep.
You have more time.
Exactly.
You're not
Everybody
a
wants
slave
that.
to your property anymore,
exactly.
right?
Be a minimalist.
Get to enjoy
So
it.
it's almost like I don't know. We should make an initiative or something and call it like the mow less system or something like the lazy mower system
I like
or
that.
something.
That's good. It's catchy.
Lazy man, it's a new approach.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you got to look at it when you have a 3-inch grass blade. What you're really seeing is if you have 3 inches of top growth, you're probably going to have between 3 to 6 inches of bottom growth. The higher you cut it, the less stress you put on the roots. So as you keep mowing it lower, the roots come up.
Yeah.
And if the roots come up, they use more water. And if it's cut lower, it has less leaf tissue to produce photosynthesis. And then as it's just a constant cycle. You keep cutting it lower, the roots come up. You keep cutting higher, the roots go down.
The question to homeowners is, do you want to be a slave to your property? Do you want your land dependent on you? I say get your land off drugs.
Exactly.
You know?
Got to wean it off.
Yeah,
Exactly.
wean it off and then stress it out a little bit, let it actually grow and go through its natural process. And when it is this tall, other things can happen in there too, like dandelions, clover, that actually feed our native pollinators, which I think is such a cycle of life that we're kind of forgetting about. You know, if we're mowing every week, watering every day, feeding 8 times a year, and blowing our properties every single week, you know, we expect beneficial insects to survive, and they're not going to be able to, property after property after property. And the benefit of beneficial insects is to, you know, they're not in our actual food chain, but they keep everything in our food chain alive.
Yep.
So we need to keep them alive. So if we could just let our grasses grow a little bit, let some clover grow, let the dandelion is our first food source, it's hard to say, for honeybees. And I think it's this kind of direction that we need. I mean, could you imagine if all of us did it?
Just having a conscious effort and making a little bit of an effort to we can go a long way, especially on the island that we live on, you know. So
cumulatively, we would protect our drinking water.
Exactly.
Correct.
We would save pollinators. We'd save money.
Right. Yes.
You
Everybody
know,
wants
so
that.
this is the direction that we pledge, you know, that we every single day live and actually work towards. And we are here to educate in hopes that other people will see the simplicity and the common sense of mowing less, feeding less, watering less equals more in nature,
Yes.
right?
Every time.
And that brings up a great topic for the homeowner is don't be afraid to ask questions. It's the landscaper, it's the garden center, it's everyone's responsibility to give you the answers that you have. Excuse me. And then if you want to see a label, you want to know what you're putting down on your property, they have to tell you. So don't be afraid to ask. And if you don't know what you're looking for, then don't be afraid to reach out to one of us to ask the questions, because we will help. But please just do not be afraid to ask what they're putting on your property, because they might be telling you it's all natural, but until you see what the label is and what the actual product is, you really don't know. So they have to tell you. Don't be afraid to ask, and ask us if you want to.
The consumer is in charge. You know, the property owners, it's up to them to make the decision that's right for their family, their pockets. And then ultimately, I see it a step further, the health of Cape Cod. We have drinkable water below us. You know, I really strive to protect that every single day. And so it's up to homeowners too. I mean, you go to any local garden center right now, this time of year in the spring, and you wouldn't believe the bags and bags and bags of fertilizer, insecticides, pesticides, herbicides, you got fungicides, and all that will get into our drinkable water at some point, at some rate. And it blows my mind, store after store I walk in this time of year. Yeah. It just saddens me. So we are in charge, of our destiny is the way I see it.
For sure. You got to be an educated consumer. When you go in to buy those things, you have to look. You have to look at the label, the MSDS label on the back of every bottle. Really do your homework, and it's not a lot. You just have to dive in a little bit, do your Google searches and whatnot, and look for the right label, and go from there. Be an educated homeowner is what we're essentially trying to preach.
It's cost effective, it's cheaper, it's easier, and to be so wise, to be the plant that day and feel it. What does it really need? What does it really want? It doesn't want the cow, chicken, horse in order to survive. That's in extreme situations, and that's okay in certain times, but not for a regular 8-step program anymore. I feel like knowledge is power, right?
Correct. Yes.
And we
You're
thought
right.
this. We were told by the chemical companies we're supposed to do this, and we've done it for 30 years. Well, we know better.
Right.
It starts today.
Right, or we hired somebody else to do it, so it's not a bad thing to question your landscaper, what he's doing, or if you want to make a change. It's not overboard, it's not out of line. You might have had them for 20 years, but they might be willing to work with somebody else, and they might try to learn something new as well. So,
yeah, I think it's a growing thing for everybody involved.
Exactly.
And it would get them to, maybe question what their routine is.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't mow every week. And for the guy who's mowing every week, say, hey, maybe not,
Right.
Don't feed every 8 times, I just, and the blade, it's really about a recipe. You have a cake.
Yep.
You have ingredients.
Exactly.
That's all we're doing outside
Exactly.
is having the ingredients be for land, instead of a cake.
Right.
It's really simple.
Yeah, it's a good
Give
way
the
to look
plant
at
what
it.
it needs.
Yeah.
Give it what it needs, not more
Exactly.
than like we think it needs,
Exactly.
So I created this fine little thing where we're having a initiative to lessen our impact above our aquifer. And if you do 10 things, it's just a little pledge. But if you pledge to do said 10 things, I will give you a free land sign that says life-friendly land. Pledge to be toxic-free on your land for our community. Protect our Cape Cod aquifer. So it's kind of the opposite of the the chem lawns kind of thing. For anybody that puts something on their land that has to have a sign that says no kids or pets for 4
3
weeks
days,
or
yeah.
something.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
weeks. Trust
Pretty
me.
scary.
This is the opposite.
Exactly.
And I, the pledges are I will use leaf compost, I will not use nitrogen, I will use essential oils to deter pests, I will not use any pesticides, herbicides, blah, blah, blah. I will feed soil, not plants. I will use I will not use man-made synthetic fertilizers. I will use 1 inch of water a week. It goes on and on. I'll have this on the website, POCCA-CapeCod.org. That's POCCA, CapeCod.org. Protect our Cape Cod aquifer, because it's up to us to do just that.
Exactly.
And we're here today talking with a company who's really got more than just common sense. They have science backing them up, proving that it is possible to do less on your land and get more. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
So I have this information anytime available, and we are taking this initiative to landowners, of course. After we've done it on our own and we've seen that this works, we're also going to towns.
Exactly.
We're going to take this to the towns and say, hey, towns, will you pledge to be non-toxic on your town-owned land? And I hope that turns into another educational piece that then, do what you say what you do kind of
Exactly.
thing. Then
Right.
the homeowners will follow what their own towns departments are choosing to do.
Yep, exactly.
So that's the direction that we're headed in. It starts here today
It does.
Exactly. It sure does.
with IPM. Can you tell us about that?
So that's our IPM. It stands for Integrated Pest Management.
What does that say?
Integrated Pest Management. So it's just using the natural forms that we've been given already to create an environment that is healthy and sustainable for our communities to be a part of. And it's a topic that gets brought up a lot on both sides of the spectrum too, and it's just knowing really what it stands for and kind of what you believe in as well. And the three of us here today, we believe in doing everything as naturally and most sustainably as possible. And there's other people that have an IPM program that might have other aspects of life into it, but we are very minimalist people, and we want to make sure that what we do and what we put down in the soil doesn't get, one, to our drinking water. That's the main reason why we're here. And two, is healthy for our community and our kids. We need to look out for the future, and our kids are our future. So
it's true, very true. So for those of you that know me, I play around with drinking water, right? And we're here to protect it. And do you know how deep it is to your drinkable water? On the Cape, because we live in such sandy soil, what we put down our drains and our sinks and on our land, it's going to permeate through really quickly. The depth to our drinkable water is between 5 feet, mostly on the outer Cape, to 50 feet, 60 feet in the Sandwich area. There are 6 lenses. We have lenses. We have one sole source aquifer. Sole source aquifer means that there's one source, there's one way that aquifer is replenished, which is rain. But we have 6 lenses, and so technically we have 6 aquifers, because lenses and aquifers are synonymous with each other. 5 of them are drinkable. The Pilgrim lens in Provincetown is not drinkable. They get their drinkable water from Truro. So it's really detrimental for all of us to care, to know that your laundry detergent, your soap, your shampoo, your toothpaste, pharmaceuticals, they're showing up in tests given and taken by Silent Spring. Are you familiar with Silent Spring Institute? They're our local lab. And they test our drinkable water here. Guess what the number one thing is showing up in our drinkable water?
Phosphorus.
It blew my mind. I was telling you, both begin with that.
Yeah.
It is fire retardants.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's like on couches and clothing and babies' clothes.
That's interesting.
I know, and it's in our drinking water. So that's how delicate I feel. We have to see how amazing, and the other thing I think is so great is our drinkable water is 5 feet, 10 feet, 20 feet below us. If you get something in a bottle, we don't know if it was from the other side of the world, like Fiji or something.
Right. Yeah.
So we are fortunate to have water so close. We need to take care of it. We need stricter regulations. I'm working to do that with our local towns and local state departments. But in the meantime, it is up to us to care by what we purchase every single day.
Correct.
It really does matter.
I agree.
Do you have any quick last thoughts, words?
Yeah, the big thing I want to really let the homeowner know is you need to ask the questions. Don't be afraid. I know a lot of people, when you go to a Home Depot or you go to a Lowe's or you go to a local home goods store or nursery, ask the questions. No question is a bad question. And just before you make the purchase, just think, what am I actually doing to my property and what am I doing to my community?
For sure. I guess what I would say is when you're driving around all these shorelines, these beautiful homes with these lime green lawns, you might want to question how that became to be, what they did in order to get that. And I think you'd be surprised of how they got there. And you might want to seek alternative paths.
There are natural remedies for absolutely everything in nature. Use Roundup, don't do it anymore. Use vinegar instead, and it's cheaper too. There's a certain time of day to use it. That's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and that is on a really hot day when your weeds are thirsty. Give them some vinegar to drink. They'll be dead in 24 hours. If they're not, reapply because they weren't thirsty.
Exactly.
It's been raining so much lately, they're not going to be thirsty.
Right, exactly.
So wait for that, and it does work.
It sure does.
There are alternatives for everything, so really realize that essential oils are strong. They are powerful. They will work. Seek them. There are natural remedies for our pets as well as our properties, as well as ourselves.
Exactly.
Join the mission. No one is exempt from impacting our drinking water. POCACapeCod.org. Protect our Cape Cod aquifer. I'm Laura Kelly, Rory, and Sean. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
I
it.
really appreciate you guys. Your standard of quality is excellent, and we all can do this. It's very simple. It's actually cheaper. It's so simple.
Thank
Much
you very
appreciated.
for
Thank
having
you.
us.